Good morning, friends, and welcome. Today, we gather on the lands of the Gadigal clan here at Tumbalong and Gomorrah, today known as Darling Harbour. My name is Matthew Doyle. I'm a Murrawari man. I was born and raised here on Gadigal land, and it's an honour and a pleasure to welcome you here this morning. A welcome to country, for those of you who may not know, is an ancient practice, one we've been doing for many, many thousands of years. Before one is welcomed on the country, they are first invited. This is done by way of a messenger who carries a message stick, informing neighbouring nations of when to come onto country for ceremony. Once they reach the boundary, they are then called onto country through song. And once on country, then they are formally welcomed again through song and ceremony. This is still in practice today, a traditional way of sending messengers. But we also do it in modern times, and it's a lot quicker by sending a text or an email. We get the message much quicker. So technology, we're up with the times. We work with the times, and we adapt and we change. For thousands of years, First Nations people have used technology to advance who we are. We adapt, we use tools, and we use our environment. We've been builders, explorers, visionary thinkers, pushing beyond boundaries to spark new ideas. You have come together in Sydney to continue this tradition here on Gadigal land. I would now like to introduce a true innovator, a proud descendant of the Wiradjuri people. Ella Havelka is most known for being the first Aboriginal dancer to join the Australian Ballet. She is about to perform Illawarra, The Storm Within, an exploration of the human spirit's resilience, inspired by the Wiradjuri phrase, Illawarra, meaning to hail, to or beat down. Illawarra reminds us that difficult times are temporary and brighter days will come.
Baladu Yilawara, Mulan Mababa, Baladu Maling Mira Birang Buanga, Baladu Yilawara, Mulan Mababa, Baladu Maling Mira Birang Buana.
When people say something's impossible, everything's been done, that just means everything has not been done. They just don't know.
They say if we build it, they will come. It's nice to have the ability to start small and to grow as the demand requires. Now we're able to build in a way that allows us to scale if what we've built is popular.
We are moving into AI-driven era where AI takes care of higher order activities.
Today's tools are allowing people to execute if they have the grit and determination.
People build what they can imagine.
Please welcome Managing Director of Australia and New Zealand, Rianne van Veldhuizen.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 2025 AWS Summit here in Sydney. I'm so excited to see you all here in the room today, and I want to say a big thanks to all of you for choosing to spend your day with us. We have a fantastic lineup of speakers and activities over the next 2 days. Over 90 deep dive and technical sessions, and over 120 workshops, demos, and hands-on experiences. You will see the technology and innovation that you will need to securely build anything you imagine. And you'll also hear from our customers today and how they're innovating on AWS. And not just to provide for their own businesses, but to improve the operations and also growth and prosperity of communities, other businesses, and individuals across Australia and New Zealand. But I'd like to start off by thanking our AWS sponsors and partners, because we're so incredibly proud to work with all of you, and for all the hard work that you delivered for our customers in the past year. And to our community of developers, AWS heroes, and community builders, because your relentless customer obsession and builder mentality continues to drive innovation for customers everywhere. Just over a year ago, I was standing on this very stage talking about the biggest technology transformation since the internet. And that's no surprise to all of you, generative AI. And our belief that we were at the very beginning of a more profound transformation that will impact how we live, how we work, and how we connect. Well, a year is a very, very long time in the world of AI. And the pace hasn't just continued. It is accelerating. In fact, we're thinking bigger than before and moving faster and innovating even faster as well with our customers and partners. Since launching Amazon Bedrock, the Amazon Nova AI models, and Amazon Q Business in Sydney last year, we've seen innovation surge across industries and customers of all sizes. Take the financial services industry, for example. They have been at the forefront of generative AI innovation, and all of the big 4 banks are innovating with AWS. Today you will hear from Tim Moloney about ANZ's AI market analyst, which is called Amy. And that's giving bankers conversational access to market intelligence. Westpac is exploring ways to accelerate their mortgage lending procedures, securely using Amazon Bedrock. NAB has boosted productivity by 18% using Amazon Q Developer for automated code updates. And then Combank, they've reimagined their business banking with their GenAI messaging service supporting tens of thousands of business customers. Also, Combank has completed modernizing its data platform to AWS, which will significantly accelerate its speed of AI innovation. And Datacom, they've signed a large strategic collaboration agreement with us to accelerate cloud migrations, leveraging generative AI across Australia and New Zealand. Tomorrow you will hear how the Australian Epilepsy Project is using AWS AI to make a life-changing difference to people living with epilepsy. They've managed to dramatically cut down the time it takes between when somebody is diagnosed and when they get a proper treatment plan. And we're not just talking about small improvements here. We're talking about reducing the wait time up to 15 years. So let that sink in for a moment, because that's making a world of difference to over 250,000 Australians who are living with epilepsy today. Those 250+ people will have faster access to the right treatment and a better quality of life now. And then we've also worked with the busiest emergency department in Melbourne, Northern Health. And they've worked with us to implement a virtual emergency department, which now serves over 400,000 Victorian patients remotely. And the best part, 86% of these cases get resolved without any hospital visits. Then how about our startups? Because they are the lifeblood of innovation. And AWS continues to support founders to stand tall on the global stage and to continue to nurture their ambitions. I'm pleased to announce that today, the AWS Generative AI Startup Accelerator opens up for its next cohort. And this is the 3rd year that we're running this program, and it's been hugely successful. Tomorrow you will hear from Splash Music, one of last year's success stories, about how they've built and generated the AI-generated DJ that has already been played over 500 million times. And this program is part of a wider initiative that I'm also pleased to announce, AI Spring Australia. And that is our commitment to unlock the potential of AI by helping our customers and our partners to develop generative AI competency. As always, security remains foundational to everything we do at AWS. And when organizations like the Australian government choose to partner with us to deliver their top-secret cloud, it's because security is in our DNA, from our CEO to every AWS employee. And as the world's most secure and reliable cloud provider, we've reimagined security from the chip up. And the results, they speak for themselves, because a recent Frost & Sullivan study found that AWS achieved 99.54% uptime across APAC, with a total downtime less than 1/3 compared to other providers. And sustainability, that also remains a key focus for AWS. And we continue to invest here, but also globally. In Australia, heat kills more people than all other natural disasters combined. And we've worked with Western Sydney University and Aerotos and gave Bicentennial Park a smart brain. 250 sensors across 42 hectares controlling irrigation through AI. And the results? We cooled the park by 10 degrees Celsius and also reduced the water usage by 40%. And it's not about technology here. This is about us creating livable cities. And it's a solution that we can replicate worldwide. And we've also developed a science-based platform with CSIRO. It's called Nature IQ, which has reduced the time it takes to generate biodiversity assessments from weeks to minutes. AWS also continues to expand its local infrastructure with new investments here in Australia and in New Zealand, including a $13.2 billion investment over the next 2 years. And that is expected to generate approximately 11,000 full-time positions and contribute a $35 billion to Australia's GDP by 2027. And then 2025 brings very exciting news to New Zealand, because we are about to launch our very first AWS region in country, representing a landmark $7.5 billion investment. And that expansion is projected to boost New Zealand's economy by $10.8 billion over the next 15 years. As you can see, AWS is committed to driving growth and prosperity across the region. And over the next 2 days, you will have the opportunity to see, hear, and learn how to bring your boldest ideas to life with AWS. And I encourage you to take as much in of the summit program as you can. And with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce to the stage my colleague and friend, Francessca Vasquez, to explore how AWS provides the building blocks and tools that you need to securely build anything you imagine.
Thank you, Rianne. And welcome to the Sydney Summit 2025. I'm going to try that one more time. Welcome to the Sydney Summit 2025. Yes. Today, I want to start with the question: what if you could build anything you imagine? To me, one of the best parts of being a builder is that you get to imagine things that seem impossible and then build them and make them real. At AWS, we give you the building blocks to build anything that you can imagine. And with them, we've seen you build remarkable things, innovating how we heal people and the planet, transforming finance, elevating performance, and helping stroke victims find their voice. All wildly different inventions made possible because building blocks give you the freedom to innovate and scale. The idea of building blocks is fundamental to how we invent at AWS. We build services that do a job really, really, really well, and then make it easy for you to combine them together. But there are some things that are so fundamental, they have to be part of everything that you do. And for us here at AWS, that's security. Our security starts with the silicon and goes all the way up the stack and ensures that no one, not even us, can access your data while it's in our data center. Once you have a secure foundation, what comes next is scale. And that starts with the AWS Global Backbone. AWS has the largest private network with more than 6 million kilometers of fiber optic cabling connecting all of our regions, availability zones, and edge locations. And each year, we continue to grow and add more capacity. In fact, last year alone, We increased the network backbone capacity by 80% to support low latency data transfer, meet all of our capacity needs, and then power all the building blocks that we'll talk about today. Which brings us to our first one, and that's compute. Today, you can get as much compute as you need almost instantly with a wide variety of compute options such as virtual servers, containers, and functions to support your workloads no matter how diverse or where you need to run them. Just take EC2. EC2 has over 850 instance types. That's a lot, enabling you to access the ideal compute for any workload. Even workloads that were once considered impossible to run in the cloud, such as mission-critical enterprise workloads supporting large in-memory databases and complex analytics, or workloads that demand extraordinary compute power like scientific modeling, video transcoding, and machine learning. And with the rise of generative AI, accelerated computing instances used for training and inference or predictions have exploded in popularity. And AWS is by far the best place to run GPU workloads. We have a 14-year partnership with NVIDIA and continue to innovate together, adding new NVIDIA-based instances to power your workloads, such as the new P6 family of instances that feature NVIDIA Blackwell GPUs, including the GB200 superchips, which will be available to you very soon. But we also saw that builders needed more flexibility in how and when they access GPU capacity. So we did something. We created EC2 capacity blocks to provide instant, predictable access to high-demand GPU-based instances, with the flexibility to reserve GPU capacity where you can run experiments and prototypes or handle temporary demand surges without long-term commitments or idle resources. And it's all of you, our customers, that inspire us to do more, like make compute faster and more sustainable and lower costs. And these improvements empower you to build anything. And one area where we do this, well, that's Graviton. Graviton was our first custom CPU. Today, we're on the 4th generation of Graviton, and it's our most powerful chip yet. It's up to 45% faster than Graviton 3 for large Java applications, and it has 60% less energy consumption for the same price performance than comparable x86-based EC2 instances. The amazing performance and sustainability of Graviton is why over the last 2 years, we landed more Graviton-based CPUs in our data centers than any other CPU type. Creating Graviton gave us the momentum to tackle bigger challenges, such as purpose-built AI chips, creating Trainium or Inferentia. And each chip is designed with the same principles: exceptional performance at significantly lower cost. And today, well, Trainium 2-based instances offer the best price performance for generative AI and deep learning on AWS. They're up to 4 times faster and up to 3 times more energy efficient compared to Trainium 1 instances. And that's a breakthrough that's already transforming the economics of AI. Some of the world's largest foundation model providers will use Trainium 2 to dramatically cut their training costs. Model providers like Anthropic. Millions of people per day rely on Anthropic's Claude model for their work, and together, AWS and Anthropic are advancing the future of generative AI. For builders that are using Claude, it means more intelligence, lower prices, and faster speeds. Bringing big ideas to life, well, they require multiple building blocks to come together, which brings us to our next building block. And that's storage. Back in the early days of Amazon, when teams needed storage, they typically would build them themselves. And in every new project, developers would spend months or years building, configuring, and managing undifferentiated storage solutions. We needed a solution where we could store anything and that all services could utilize. And we realized that our customers needed it too. And that's when and how S3 was born. And today, there are more than 400 trillion objects in S3, which hold data that can be used across AWS. Storage, everyone, is continuing to evolve. And as an example, let's look at the rapid adoption of open table formats, such as Apache Iceberg. Apache Iceberg is an open-source, high-performance table format for large analytical data sets in formats like Parquet. And there are exabytes of Parquet data that are stored in S3 today. Under the hood, Iceberg uses a hierarchy of metadata and manifests to manage data snapshots and table updates. But the challenge with Iceberg is that it requires manual maintenance to run optimally. The overhead only increases as you scale. And so we saw an opportunity to remove this heavy lifting. We added a new bucket type to S3, allowing you to quickly manage and query data in Iceberg without the manual overhead. Then we created S3 metadata to automatically generate system metadata like object size, storage class, and encryption status. You can also add custom tags to make finding the right data simple. Metadata makes it easier to create data products that can be used across the business. Because most users don't actually need access to raw data. Instead, they get their answers curated with data products designed for very specific use cases. These data products often rely on our next building block, and that's databases. We have databases for every kind of data and use case that you can imagine on AWS. And while these services are extremely powerful, there are often challenges as you diversify where and how your data products exist. Data can become siloed. And if those silos are distributed across locations, you can end up with continuity issues in how database transactions are recorded. Well, there's a reason for this, and that reason is time. To reduce the number of conflicts across distributed databases, you need the precise time a database transaction occurred. This means you need clocks that are perfectly in sync across every single location in which a database resides. This was a capability that didn't actually exist in the cloud. But since we control all of the infrastructure that AWS runs on, we decided to build it. We created an atomic clock with microsecond precision called the Amazon Time Sync service. The precision delivered by Time Sync unlocks something incredible for databases. Multi-region, strong consistency with low latency across databases, no matter if you are working with SQL or NoSQL. It provides virtually unlimited scale across regions with zero infrastructure management and a fully serverless design. This means that you can add multi-region active-active capability to your databases in a way that is easy for you to build and operate. Now, to share how they are using AWS building blocks to deliver at speed and scale, please join me in welcoming Tim Moloney, Head of Digital Strategy and Financial Institution Sales at ANZ Bank.
Good morning. Great to be here with you today. As professionals in technology and data, you're all keenly aware that AI isn't just changing the way that we work. It's fundamentally reshaping the way that we engage with our customers. And we're just at the beginning. Today, I want to share a little bit of our journey so far at ANZ. Banking is a highly commoditised business. Winning in this space is all about customer experience. We believe that the future of customer experience lies at the intersection of personalisation, predictive analytics, and agentic AI. Each of these is powerful in isolation, but transformative when combined, which presents a great opportunity for us at ANZ. We are the #1 institutional bank in Australia, active across 29 countries. Every day, our markets business processes over 3 billion data points, running over 1,000 customer analytics across thousands of different product combinations, everything from multi-year structured bonds to spot foreign exchange priced in milliseconds. And every product and customer portfolio is continually changing in line with global markets. In fact, it's this state of constant flux that's been one of our key analytical challenges. AI is helping us solve this puzzle in real time and at scale. Our approach to AI has been iterative and considered. Ethics and customer security, safety, and privacy are non-negotiable in all of our innovation work. And though we've been expanding our capability for a while, our ambition in AI really accelerated in 2021 when we released ANZ Signals. Signals delivers personalised, actionable market intelligence to our bankers, whether that's notification of an upcoming deal maturity or a potential restructuring opportunity. Signals turned us from being reactive with data to proactive. But it was still just a one-way conversation. So early in 2023, we started exploring whether we could augment Signals with chat capability. But pretty quickly worked out that given the diversity and complexity of underlying data, some sort of agent-based solution was going to be required. Now, after a collaboration with AWS's excellent prototyping team in 2023 and a trial with some of our commercial bankers last year, we're getting ready to go live with AMI, which is short for ANZ Markets Insights Engine. What is AMI? Well, at its core, it's a multi-agent chatbot that seamlessly integrates with Signals. It will allow our bankers to ask pretty much anything about markets, whether it's about research, news, policies, or of course, customer analytics. We like to think of AMI as a personalised markets analyst that our bankers can call on anytime, anywhere. AWS has been a cornerstone partner with us throughout this innovation journey. What started with simple storage, expanded to data science on SageMaker, and now includes AI on Bedrock, data governance and lake formation, and scaling our institutional data and analytics platform on SageMaker Unified Studio. This partnership has been transformative for us in helping us build toward our data, machine learning, and AI ambitions. Now, since this is Builders' Day, I just want to share a couple of observations from our build that are helping shape our strategy and execution. The first of these is on user experience. Bounded within solid guardrails, we've learned that balancing time against accuracy and quality of output is critical. If one of our bankers is talking to a customer, they need information in seconds, not tens of seconds or minutes. But it can't be at the expense of quality or accuracy. What we've learned is that by utilising different tools and frameworks for different use cases, we're able to optimise and much better manage those trade-offs. By way of example, our toolkit includes text to SQL for simpler data retrieval and joins, things like recent customer activity, function calling for more complex analytics, such as portfolio restructuring, baseline RAG for news and research retrieval, and graph RAG for more complex policy and knowledge navigation. Another area is personalisation. Now, it doesn't matter what industry you operate in, we know that customers expect a highly personalised experience. At ANZ, We're actively working to build this, but we're conscious of the fact that it needs to be done in a really considered and safe way. Neural networks are great at capturing complex interactions, but traditionally it's been at the expense of transparency, explainability, and accessibility. Large language models have transformed accessibility with their intuitive chat interfaces, and we're closely monitoring some of the remarkable research that's going on into interpretability and alignment. But what we have found so far is that generative AI can genuinely complement more traditional machine learning methods. It generates contextualized content that dynamically responds to evolving customer preferences and needs. So, where do we go next? Well, from a practical perspective, agentic AI helps solve a problem that's going to be familiar to everyone here today. How do you demonstrate real business value with a technology in a way that's scalable, but doesn't require you to commit to a substantial, usually multi-year, upfront investment? Agents support a modular approach, where each agent can tackle a particular opportunity, and if it's successful, it just gets added to the stack. Their degree of autonomy can be carefully calibrated to the guardrails required, and benchmarks can be set and tested at both the agent and the application level. Of course, this modular approach becomes exponentially more powerful when agents are portable. And the really exciting part at present is not just that AI agents are becoming a lot smarter. It's through standardized protocols like MCP and other emerging agent-to-agent frameworks, they're becoming a lot more portable and interoperable. Solutions like Amy demonstrate that subject matter experts, say an interest rate specialist, can now build an agent that captures their deep domain knowledge, sort of like cloning themselves and their expertise. Those agents can then be deployed across the entire organisation, irrespective of which applications different teams use. This federated model scales expertise and not just the underlying technology. Strategically, we know that AI is about more than just efficiency. Agentic AI enables a business to deliver personalised expertise to every interaction, whether that's a banker better understanding a customer's complex needs amid global market volatility, or just simply having wider access to specialist knowledge instantly. At ANZ, we're building for this future with deliberate, safe steps, creating an exceptional customer experience, and through that helping customers focus on what they do best, which is grow their businesses. Thank you very much for your time today.
All right. Thank you, Tim, for sharing how ANZ is unlocking innovation and resilience on AWS, one building block at a time. Over the last few years, we've seen generative AI evolve from simple image and text generation to models that think and reason. And just like compute and storage, inference or prediction has evolved to become a critical building block for all of your applications. And that's why we've built Amazon Bedrock as the easiest way to build and scale generative AI applications on AWS. And it's why we continue to expand Bedrock availability all around the world. So what does it take to build a generative AI application that works well today and in the future? Well, the first thing is model choice. The world of foundation models moves incredibly quickly with more capable, cost-effective, and faster models released each week. And we know that there's no one model that's best for every single use case. Within Bedrock, we offer a broad choice of fully managed foundation models across a variety of leading providers to help you access the best model for the job, including Amazon Nova It's our own family of foundation models specifically designed to offer leading options across quality, speed, and cost. And today, there are 7 different NOVA models spanning understanding and reasoning, image and video generation, and speech-to-speech synthesis. This choice enables you to pick the model that's best suited for your use case. Next, you will need the ability to customize these models. Incorporating your own data is one way of the most important steps of getting value out of AI. And one of the most common ways to do this is through retrieval augmented generation, or what we commonly know as RAG. But a challenge that many developers have encountered while building GenAI applications is that RAG was originally optimized for unstructured data. Today, Bedrock supports fully managed end-to-end RAG across all data types, delivering more relevant, accurate, and explainable responses to each of your users. NIB Group is a health insurer that is using models in Amazon Bedrock to automate the documentation of customer interactions. They then leverage their internal knowledge base to improve accuracy and response times. With more efficient handling of member inquiries, NIB has been able to reduce their average call times by 8% and post-call work by up to 20%. Next, trust and security are paramount to any generative AI application. Bedrock Guardrails helps you block harmful or unwanted inputs and outputs for your generative AI applications. And for example, if you build an application to process insurance claims, you can use guardrails to help block certain outputs from the app, such as certain topics or words or harmful content, to help make the responses align with the brand and values of your organization. But now guardrails can do even more. One of the biggest things hindering GenAI adoption in the enterprise is fear of hallucinations. At AWS, we found that automated reasoning could be used to drive down the uncertainty in AI-generated responses. Automated reasoning checks is the first and only safeguard that helps prevent factual errors due to hallucinations. Next up is affordability. We know that today, inference costs can still be extremely too high. And within Bedrock, there are a few ways that you can reduce costs without having to compromise on performance. This is one of my favorite functionalities, model distillation. Model distillation leverages the outputs of a high-parameter model to train a low-parameter model. It's like a teacher sharing knowledge with a student. Distilled models in Amazon Bedrock are up to 500% faster and up to 75% less expensive than the larger models. Bedrock also offers intelligent prompt routing. And this is where you can designate multiple models for your application, and then Bedrock determines which model will best serve your requests. Prompt routing can reduce costs by up to 30% without compromising accuracy. And then finally, there's utility. AI should make things as simple as possible. And this is where agents come into play. In the early days of generative AI, the most common pattern for working with models was for a user to send a prompt and then the model to generate a response. And over time, this became more conversational. But the increasing growing trend is AI agents. Agents don't just respond, they act, working through problems almost like a person would. They plan, select tools, generate results, and then reflect to determine if further iteration is required. And so let me show all of you how this works. Here, we'll modify an application that we've built, creating an endpoint that calls Claude Sonnet in Bedrock to analyze the transcript. We can see how the agents are rationalizing the problem and autonomously taking steps to create the new code. We can then see and review the suggested update, and then if we're happy, we can merge it with our application. And so I'm excited to share how they are using Bedrock to accelerate innovation. Everyone, please welcome Canva's Chief Technology Officer, Brendan Humphreys.
Innovation is always about solving problems and helping people to achieve their goals more quickly than ever before. Our goal at Canva was to always enable people to take their idea and turn it into a design and have no friction between those 2 points. So you can now create a beautiful whiteboard. You can create an incredible presentation, all with a click, with the power of AI. Today, we have more than 220 million people using Canva each month, and our goal is to get to 1 billion people each month.
Scaling generative AI products to 1 billion users means that we have to be global. We have to be in all of the available data centers around the world and ensure that the right capacity and the right GPU instance types are available. And that's where AWS really comes to the table, working with us to scale as we need it. We can't empower the world to design if our platform and our tool isn't reliable. Using AWS ensures that we've got all of the right baseline capabilities available that are secure, reliable, available when we need it, and that just increases trust with our customers.
Being able to rapidly ship product to the whole world and deploy it is an extraordinarily important part of our success. So it's been amazing to partner with AWS on that incredible journey.
We're just 1% of the way there. Canva is just getting started, and we cannot wait for you to see what we have coming up next.
Good morning, Sydney. Canva was founded over 10 years ago with the mission to empower the world to design. We've built a product, as you just heard, that makes it easy for anyone, regardless of their skill level, to create stunning visual content at scale. Today, Canva is used by more than 230 million users in 190 countries to create, to collaborate on everything from presentations to videos to whiteboards and more. Our platform handles about 1.2 million requests per second, and we have over 220 petabytes of media under management, growing by an astonishing 150 terabytes every day. To date, we've had over 35 billion designs created on our platform, and we have about 450 new designs created every second. But I'm going to take you all the way back to the very beginning of this journey when most of these numbers were pretty much zero. I joined Canva back in 2014 when there were just a handful of us, and you can see the back-end engineering team around this time. We're in a single room in Devonshire Street in Surrey Hills, and we're absolutely overwhelmed with the enormity of implementing the vision that was in the heads of our founders, Mel, Cliff, and Cam. On top of our minds was this architectural quandary. How do we build something quickly, get it into market, but build it in a way that allows us to rapidly evolve our architecture to scale? Now, we knew we would eventually need some kind of microservices architecture that would ultimately allow us to scale components independently, and it would allow us to scale the number of engineers working productively on our systems. And so we planned for this future of microservices, and we built and deployed a monolith. And looking at the cloud providers at the time, AWS was the natural choice. And we were able to get up and running really quickly using what was then a really new program called AWS Activate. Now, baked into the design of our monolith was a pathway to scale. It was completely stateless, which meant we could scale it horizontally using auto-scaling and elastic load balancing. And it was carefully modeled around key entities we'd identified, and we implemented this model with some simple rules to make it really decomposable in the future. Each entity was encapsulated by a service interface, and our service interfaces strived for consistency around a really simple set of CRUD verbs. These rules allowed us to tease apart the monolith relatively easily when the need for scale came. Our service interfaces became RPC stubs, and one execution unit evolved to one per service. Now, our initial architecture was backed by a single RDS MySQL database. But in designing our schema, we similarly tried to anticipate scale. So we maintained strict isolation of entity relations. If you needed to perform some big business orchestration, that had to happen above the service layer. It was very tempting to join at the persistence layer, but that was strictly forbidden. And that meant that our one MySQL instance was easily decomposed into multiple MySQL instances as the need for scale came. And we could scale further. We can scale out through read replicas and then up through instance sizing. And finally, as our exponential growth really exploded, many of our services were migrated over to DynamoDB, which continues to give us global scale. Now, I'd love to tell you that this process of evolving our persistence was always smooth. It was definitely not. The thing about exponential growth is it can be really, really hard for humans, even engineers, to understand. And we felt this acutely in our media service. The exploding popularity of Canva meant that the media service MySQL got really, really big on us. And we knew we had to get to DynamoDB, but to buy a zero downtime transition, we raced to put an abstraction layer over our persistence, and we milked every last drop of functionality out of MySQL, which by that stage was groaning under the weight of tables hundreds of millions of rows in size and growing by tens of millions of rows per day and hitting new and exciting RDS limits on a regular basis. And many of you might be familiar that, we go back one slide, that the joy of building an application in Sydney, Australia is you hit those limits at the US traffic peak, which is 1 a.m. Sydney time. So you'd often discover these limits in the haze of an on-call alert. I'm going to save the story for how we actually got there for the pub, but we did get there, and today DynamoDB manages about 122 billion items for our media service, and it's growing by 182 million items a day, and we get really impressive performance and reliability. Now, central to our technology culture at Canva is the value that we always strive for pragmatic excellence. We made pragmatic choices early on, like starting with a monolith, but always with that pathway to scalability in mind. We started with MySQL, but similarly had a pathway to scale. And we've taken that same approach with AI. While the hype around AI can lead to bolt-on and gimmicky features, our focus is resolutely on delivering meaningful impact. We're always asking, how can AI support our mission? How does it power our business? And how does it create real value for our users? And we've got this three-pronged approach to AI, which has allowed us to really rapidly evolve in the face of constant AI improvement. The first prong is best-in-class third-party model integration. And we use AWS SageMaker and Bedrock, along with our own platform abstraction, to quickly and easily leverage best-of-breed models from third parties. And we can really rapidly integrate those into cohesive product experiences that deliver real value for our users. So a great example of this is Magic Media. We launched this in 2023, and by using SageMaker real-time inference, we safely rolled this out to 100 million users in under 3 weeks. More recently, we just launched Canva Code, which is leveraging Bedrock and using Claude Sonnet. Now, Canva Code lets users create little interactive digital experiences with AI generating the code for them. This feature took us about 3 months from ideation to production at scale, 200 million users. The second dimension of our AI strategy is our rich ecosystem API. The ecosystem API and the apps SDK power the apps marketplace, which now has over 550 third-party applications, a third of which are powered by AI. On the screen is one of my favorites, the Crikey 3D AI animation app. During its first month on the Canva platform, Crikey saw a 10% conversion rate among Canva users who tried it. The third prong of our AI strategy is our in-house AI R&D. We invest heavily in our own development of in-house AI technologies that leverage the vast amount of opt-in data that we have. To power this investment, we have created a world-class AI research capability centered right here in Sydney. This has really uniquely positioned us to leverage the billions of data points we have around design construction, design intent, propensity modeling, to advance our own AI abilities. And we've recently partnered with AWS to drive the next wave of R&D and model training across Canva and Leonardo with a cluster of 1,000 H200 GPUs. Canva was one of the first to join AWS Startup Activate, and a decade later, I hope that this little snippet of our journey shows what's possible and it inspires someone in this room to be the next generation of founder that dreams big and builds something extraordinary right here in Australia. Thank you.
Thank you, Brendan, for sharing how Canva is using Bedrock to simplify their architecture and drive AI innovation at scale. We make building blocks that do one thing really, really, really well. But we also want to make it easy for you to do everything really, really, really well. We've started creating streamlined and unified experiences where building blocks come together to help you work quickly and easily. And this was our goal when we launched the next generation of Amazon SageMaker. SageMaker Unified Studio combines our best analytics services with our widely adopted SageMaker service. The work that once required you to move between multiple tools and interfaces can now be done from this single, unified studio. What makes this new version of SageMaker so powerful is that it's built on a lakehouse architecture, where data is easily accessible and end-to-end governance is built in. This enables teams to collaborate, share data, models, and GenAI assets across projects. But in order to take advantage of SageMaker and all of the AWS building blocks that we've talked about today, you need to be in the cloud. Migrating to the cloud can unlock huge value, but it's not always easy. Modernizing decades-old applications can be a slow and costly process. And this is where AI can be quite powerful. At AWS, we've spent 19 years helping customers overcome migration challenges. We've seen just about anything and everything you can imagine. We've taken everything that we've learned and integrated it into AWS Transform to make modernization as easy as possible for you. One area is modernizing Windows.NET applications to Linux. AWS Transform automatically discovers incompatibilities, generates a transformation plan, and refactors source code on your behalf. These code transformation agents have helped developers modernize their applications up to 4 times faster and cut the cost of Windows licensing by up to 40%. AWS Transform can tackle one of the hardest parts of a VMware migration by automatically converting VMware networking configurations and firewall rules into native AWS network constructs. With Transform, this is up to 80 times faster. Transform can even assist. Let's say this slowly. Transform can even assist with migrating complex mainframe applications. Yes, mainframe applications. Enabling you to transform a complete mainframe application in months rather than years. As you can see, with the right building blocks, you can build anything you can imagine. And that is exactly why we are all here today. At the heart of it all, we're not just creating technology. We're enabling progress and empowering the world through what we build. As you continue your journey through the summit, I encourage each of you to connect, explore, and discover the services, the tools, and the brilliant minds that can help turn your ideas into an incredible reality. I want to thank you so much, Sydney, for having me here, and enjoy the rest of your summit. Let's build.
Thank you for joining. Please provide your feedback on the session in the event app.